Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to KRSTV. This is your boy Kenny. Now remember, subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, follow all the information I have in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And also check out my YouTube partner, BK World 2, which is the Black Netflix. You get everything from Love and Hip Hop, RuPaul's Drag Race, the haves and the have-nots. Go over there today, and I have the link in my description box as well as in the comment section. And today what I'm doing is a mukbang, and what I have for you today is sweet Italian sausages on a bun with peppers and onions. Yes, I haven't had this in a long time. It's bomb. And I'm definitely gonna, do a lot of discussion because a lot of things have happened within the past 2 weeks or so. And things have just, I'm not gonna lie, my mind is blown. But one of the things also is that my heart is heavy after hearing about the passing of Chadwick Boseman. He will forever be iconic for his role as the Black Panther. He died of colon cancer actually this past Friday at the age of 43, and we are all just completely blown away because he had been battling colon cancer for 4 years, and he was even battling it while he was working on the Black Panther, as well as his recent film In the Blood 5, which he did a phenomenal job in. He will be dearly missed, and one thing that it really hurts my heart is the fact that role at his role as the Black Panther really made a tremendous impact on the Black community. I remember going to the movie theater watching it when it came out, and seeing these little black boys doing Wakanda Forever really touched me. I think that was the highlight of watching the movie, was after the movie seeing all these young black boys seeing themselves as superheroes. It was beautiful. I even did a review of the Black Panther, on my channel. If you look back to some of my movie reviews, I did review the Black Panther, and I discussed that seeing these black boys, saying Wakanda Forever, that really moved me. And I'm just really sad that he's gone. And I was really looking forward to the sequel. I really wanted to see, Black Panther yet again. And I just had something that happened on my screen. I don't know if it showed, but if it did, I apologize. But to actually lose him that way was just really sad, because a lot of us didn't even know he was ill. I mean, we started to notice in some of his videos that he was losing a lot of weight, but none of us knew that it was cancer. But I send my condolences to his wife and children and to his family. He will forever be an icon for that role in the Black Panther. His memory and his work will live forever. So salute to you, Chadwick Boseman. Another person I want to talk about who recently passed was Chi Chi DeVayne of RuPaul's Drag Race. Chi Chi DeVayne was on season 8, and she also was in All Stars 3. Chi Chi DeVayne passed away from pneumonia at the age of 34. And that really rocked me too, because I was a big fan of Chi Chi DeVayne. The lip sync, when she did the lip sync to I'm Telling You I'm Not Going by Jennifer Hudson, that will forever be an iconic moment because she slayed it. And it was interesting because before she did the lip sync, she had a conversation with Bob the Drag Queen, and Bob the Drag Queen was letting her know, you cannot fail this. For one, we grew up with this song, but then you also got to think about what Effie went through. Effie lost her job, her man, and her friends all in one moment. And you had to invoke that, and sure enough, Chi Chi DeVayne got it, and she slayed it. And she also, you actually saw her drag, you know, pretty much flourish, because when she was first on RuPaul's Drag Race, she was pretty much struggling hard financially, but she had a lot of talent. She knew how to make her own clothes. But then after her being on RuPaul's Drag Race, her career really grew. She traveled the world, was making money as a drag queen, and was doing her thing. And I think she was diagnosed with scleroderma, and she was having health issues, and her family had rushed her to the hospital because she had pneumonia, and she passed away. And it's just sad because I was a really diehard fan. And right now they're doing RuPaul's Drag Race, Vegas review, and they paid homage to Chi Chi DeVayne in the first episode, and I was so happy that they did that, because I truly am sad to hear about Chi Chi's passing, because I really loved her. And friends of mine who used to watch the show, we always were rooting for Chi Chi, because Chi Chi was just, she had a big personality. She had a really kind, gentle spirit, but was very competitive and could turn a look like nobody's business. So rest in peace to Chi Chi DeVayne. You will never be forgotten, and thank you for sharing your gift with us. So that's one thing I wanted to definitely wanted to share, because that really was sad. Another thing I want to talk about that that I came across was Jam Master Jay. Now, we know that Jam Master Jay was murdered in 2002 in his studio in Queens. I remember when it happened, my heart literally dropped. I was like, oh my God. Like, I just couldn't believe it, because I'm an 80s baby. I was born in 83. I'm 37 years old. So I'm very well versed in Run DMC. I remember as a little boy dancing to Rock This Way when me and my cousins would watch MTV. So Run DMC is definitely a part of my generation, and I always admired the group, all three of them. But Jam Master Jay was the one who brought the party. But not only that, Jam Master Jay was the one who really was the creative force behind the whole group. I mean, the whole look was Jam Master Jay. He brought that, those Adidas jumpsuits, the Farango hats. He brought that to the scene. That was all him. And the thing is, he had a very kind heart, and he always wanted to help, people that he grew up with. He wanted to, uplift his community. He wanted to provide opportunities for people in his community, and he will forever. I definitely admire that about him. But in the reality of that, helping is costly. So with him helping people, he got into a lot of debt, and was struggling with a lot of financial problems. And I think he wasn't getting the same amount of royalties as the other members of Run DMC, because they were considered the heads of the group, Run and D. So, but the thing is, he took what he earned and he invested back into his people, which I completely salute him for. But the reason why I'm discussing this is because after, I think, 18 years since his death, they finally have convicted 2 people for his murder. And there's a documentary about Who Killed Master Jay on Netflix, and the 2 guys that they've convicted were mentioned in that documentary. One of them was Ronald Tennard Washington, and the other one is Carl Johnson Jr., who was known as Little D. He's a hip hop artist. And his father was Big D. And it's crazy because we all knew that the person who killed Master J knew him. This wasn't some random act. But they have done investigations, and they have discovered that he was killed over a drug deal gone bad. And I know his family said that he would never, that getting into drugs wasn't his thing. But I'm thinking he went down that road due to the fact that he was coming up with all of these financial problems. He owed the IRS, and you know, he was really struggling financially. So I think he went down that road to try to make some quick money, to try to even things out, and he could continue to nourish all of the projects that he was working on. And I think what happened is that he decided to cut Ronald Washington out of the deal. And, you know, him being pissed off, he decided to come up with a conspiracy to kill Jam Master Jay. And he involved Carl Johnson Jr. Allegedly they went in, and it was alleged, and pretty much what they said is that the gun that killed Jam Master Jay was actually shot by Carl Johnson Jr., Little D. And I actually looked into Little D, and I saw that, you know, he's very well known in Queens, you know, and they have pictures of him you know, in front of Jam Master Jay's mural, you know, in Queens. And I'm like, that's gotta be cold as fuck that you killed this man, and yet you're taking pictures in front of his mural saying the iconic Jam Master Jay and all of that. And he's even tweeting some of this stuff. So I was like, wow. The figure out that you killed the legend, and yet you're celebrating the legend at the same time. Kind of sick. And Ronald Washington was pretty much the mastermind of the whole thing. And he was already in jail for, I think, a robbery charge. But they arrested Carl Johnson Jr. and they brought him in. So they have to await trial, and we'll see what happens with that. But everyone is like pissed because it took so long. But I'm like, when you're kind of dealing with a situation like that where nobody's coming forward, and you know, they want to get this right because this is an icon. You know, Jam Master Jay is an icon. And when you're dealing with someone of that caliber, you're going to they pretty much, you know, have to dot their I's and cross their T's before they convict anybody. And I think it took a long time because, one, there were a lot of people that weren't talking. Because you know the whole thing about the hood, you know, the no snitching code. And also, they wanted to piece everything together to make sure that they had the right people. But I'm glad they finally convicted someone who killed Jam Master Jay. He was definitely one of a kind. And he will be forever missed. He will forever be an icon. He will forever be one of the people who helped change the face of hip-hop and made it a mainstream commodity. I mean, if it wasn't for him and Run DMC, none of these artists in hip-hop would be in the game right now. And I dare somebody to argue me about that, because it's real. I mean, yes, they had hip-hop artists that came before Run DMC, but Run DMC were the first to make it mainstream. You know, and Jam Master Jay was a part of making Run DMC iconic. And you know, I'm glad that finally there's some peace for his friends and family. That they finally got someone that they finally got a conviction for his murder. And we just have to keep on watching to see how this moves forward. Man, this is good. And another situation that I want to talk about is Welcome to Sweetie Pie's Tim Norman. Now, I wanted to do a video immediately after it happened, but I wanted to wait a while because this story is still developing. And, you know, pretty much I will give Jen the benefit of the doubt. pretty much until he's convicted guilty, we just have to, out of respect, I would just say, like, until he's convicted, we can't say he's guilty yet. But with all this evidence coming in, it's looking highly suspicious that he probably is guilty of this. But he needs, until he's charged, right now he's still innocent. But for those who've been following the story, or for those who don't know, Tim Norman, known for being a part of the reality series Welcome to Sweetie Pies with his mother Robbie Montgomery. The thing about Welcome to Sweetie Pies, I love that show. Me and my brother used to watch that show religiously, and it was, and Welcome to Sweetie Pies, along with the Have and the Have-Nots, actually made own TV network. Those were the two shows that really made OWN pop. And Welcome to Sweetie Pies was on before the Have and the Have-Nots. So, Welcome to Sweetie Pies was that breakthrough reality series that put OWN on the map. But of course we know about Sweetie Pies. It's a soul food chain that was created by Robbie Montgomery in St. Louis, Missouri, and they have branched out. And we come to find out, about a week or so ago, Tim Norman is being charged with the conspiracy to murder plot using e-commerce, that is cell phones, in the murder of his nephew Andre Montgomery. And that shit really blew me away, because I remember watching it when Andre was murdered, and how Miss Robbie was literally torn to her core because she loved her grandson and they had a very close relationship. And the fact that he even took her to the scene where it happened, it's really kind of looking like, oh boy, is a sociopath for real. But I will be honest though, I've always saw this darkness around Tim, and I never really liked him on the show because he just had this very negative vibe about him. And I remember the episode where he punched Andre in his chest, and that really pissed me off, because the same thing happened to me with my uncle, and it was from a place of meanness. What happened with me was that my uncle and two of my cousins, we went to this place where we rode on go-karts, and it was my first time ever riding a go-kart, and I accidentally bumped him while we were riding, and I only bumped him one time. And we were actually traveling from North Carolina to Maryland to visit family, and I'm thinking nothing of it, but he's upset that I bumped him, and I'm like, I did it by mistake. It's not like I intentionally hit you. But we get to Virginia, we go into a McDonald's. This man takes me into the bathroom and hits me so hard in my chest that I literally went back into the wall. He hit me that fucking hard. And for the rest of the trip, I was literally crying my eyes out, mainly not because it hurt, but more the fact that I can't believe my uncle did this shit to me. And I immediately felt that same way when I saw Tim hit Andre in his chest and saying that I'm trying to toughen him up. Nigga, if you don't get out here with that bullshit, that came from a place of meanness, and it came from a place of being a bully. And for a year, I was quiet about it, but I was traumatized by that. So eventually I told my grandmother, because I was close to my grandmother just as Andre was close to Robbie. I love seeing that connection because I had the same connection with my grandmother. God rest her soul. And after I told her about it, and I was just we had a conversation, and I was like, I don't understand why he did that to me. And she kind of, tapped me on the shoulder and was like, he's always been jealous of you. And I'm like, why is he jealous of me? And she said that because of your closeness to me. And I kind of see that was some of the same situation involving Tim and Andre. That Andre had the closeness to Robbie that Tim never had, because Tim, I think, was partially raised by his grandmother when Robbie was a part of the CHIEFHITTS, the Ike and Tina Turner review. So even though he loved his mother and they had a connection, they weren't as close as Andre and Robbie were becoming. And I think there was some jealousy there. There was some envy there, because we see later on in that episode, he had also was messing with little Charles as well, and they confronted Robbie about it. And I'm like, bruh, like, Tim was just doing the most. And Tim had, a history of a lot of this negative behavior, because, when he was 17, he was convicted, I think, of robbery, and he served 10 years. So at the age of 27, he gets out. Sweetie Pies is flourishing. And I also heard that he was the one that actually reached out to Oprah about doing the show. So here it is, he comes out, he has a job and opportunity, and things are thriving, but I think he got caught in the limelight and also got caught up in the lifestyle of it all, to the point that, what he had wasn't enough. And he started making a lot of bad decisions. And we also know that, he had robbed his mother, and also was using her brand to open up restaurants, in other places. And these restaurants didn't do too well. And she sued him. And rightfully so, because, yeah, you're a part of the family, but that name belongs to her. And unless you have her consent, you can't use her name. You can't use Sweetie Pies if you didn't create Sweetie Pies. I mean, yeah, you were like partners with your mother. You were helping her run the operation, but at the end of the day, she created that operation. Without the operation, you wouldn't be there. So Tim, I think, with his narcissism and, his arrogance, he just went full throttle and made a lot of bad moves. So the fact that he's now being questioned in the murder of his nephew is very alarming. And then another person that was involved in it was this stripper named Tarika Ellis, who I think lived in Memphis, and both of them were talking on burner phones, because it turns out that Tim was in St. Louis at the time that Andre was murdered. He was like in some 5-star hotel, and he was conversating with Tarika Ellis, through these burnt cell phones. And it was her that lured Andre out of the house, because I think the two of them had been conversating online, so they knew of each other. But she was the one that allegedly lured him out the house. I don't know if she was the trigger person or not, but they actually pointed, because technology is amazing, because the cell phones, they pinpoint her being in the area at around the time that Andre was murdered, and the first person she called was not 911 but Tim. So that was just crazy. And they also have convicted another person. This man named Wally Younglim, I think is his name. If I said his name wrong, correct me in the comments. But he is a music producer. He was also famous for working with Nelly with the Nellyville album. But he's also an insurance agent. So he's being charged with conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud. And Tim is also being charged with this same thing as well. So Tim got double charges in this whole situation. But it's been said that the two of them conspired to create false information about Andre, because the whole thing was done to cash in on a $450,000 life insurance policy. Because originally the policy was for $200,000. If the person dies by an accident, they get paid double, and if the person dies within 10 years, that's an extra $50,000, which made it a total of $450,000. And it's also been said that Tim was in a lot of debt. He, owed a lot of money. He owed back child support. He literally was living a lifestyle that he couldn't afford. And not only that, he owed money to a lot of people that he knew personally. So he had a lot riding on this. And it's also been alleged that they created falsified information about Andre, his marital status, his employment, his net income. So they pretty much falsified information and submitted all of this. And everyone knows that when it comes to life insurance, if it's over, I say like $10,000, they're going to be looking at that with very close eyes, because that's a lot of money that can be released due to this person. And due to the fact we have a history of people who are killed for life insurance policies, and the fact that we live in the world of technology, they were really zeroing in on this situation. So, and they did this policy, I think, back in 2014, when Andre was 19. And when Andre was murdered, he was 21, which was so sad because he was killed in the prime of his life, where he was starting to grow into his manhood. And it's just a tragedy that this young man died so young. And we saw how it really affected his family, his mother and his older brother, Charles especially, because him and Charles got real close, and Robbie definitely, because that was her baby, and she helped him to graduate high school and all of that, and then now I'm pretty sure Robbie is just reeked with grief and sorrow. The fact that her own son is being accused of having her grandson killed for money. And it's insane. It's just a really tragic situation. And as I said, until they're convicted, right now they're still innocent. But just from all the history of it all, it's not looking good for Tim at all, because they got a lot that's being shared. And it's also being shared that he had a $1 million life insurance policy on his mother. And I don't think he was going to have his mother killed, because Robbie is up in age. She's in her 80s. But then again, it's kind of like you not only stole money from her, but then also, kind of, messed up some of her business because you were using her name without her permission. It could be a possibility. But me personally, I don't think he was trying to kill Robbie. But the fact that this whole thing with Andre, I can honestly say it's a strong possibility, because I saw the resentment and jealousy and envy that he displayed when it came to Andre. So it is a possibility, a strong possibility, that he actually carried this out. And the reason why they didn't release the $450,000 insurance after Andre was murdered is because Tim couldn't provide, the necessary documents to get the life insurance policy. So here it is. You set up this whole life insurance policy to kill this young man, and you didn't get anything out of it. So they weren't going to release anything because you didn't actually have the right information. And clearly why is because you falsified the information that you submitted in the first place. And it's just a mess. It's just a complete mess. And, my heart goes out to Robbie Montgomery and the rest of the family, because I'm pretty sure all of them are just reeling in this situation. And as I said, he's innocent until proven guilty. But with all of this stuff coming out, and I think it's still developing, it's not looking good for Tim at all. And I'm even looking at Tim with side eyes like, bruh. And it even kind of goes into the situations that he was dealing with his baby mother, Janae, and also Jennifer from, Real Housewives. Not Real Housewives, I'm sorry, from Basketball Wives. Forgive me, y'all. No, because Jennifer was saying that, he has a very mean streak and he was stalking her and all of that. A lot of that, that was being shared, now people are kind of looking like, as I said, like, as far as his reputation, this ain't looking good for Tim. But I will keep my ears and my eyes on this situation to see how it unfolds. But it's just messed up that Robbie is in her 80s and she has to deal with all of this, and it's just a really sad situation. And as I said before, my love and condolences to Miss Robbie and the rest of the family, because I know this is a hard pill to swallow. Is there anything else I wanted to... Well, I think that's all I have to share for now. Because I'm still just blown away by a lot of these developments. 2020 has been a rough year for all of us. But then hearing, about, Chadwick Boseman and Chi Chi DeVayne and this whole situation involving Tim Norman, and also this whole situation dealing with Jam Master Jay. 2020 is really showing its ass, y'all. I ain't lying with that. But yeah, get down in those comments and let me know your thoughts about this situation. Share your piece. I just ask that you be respectful. But yeah, get in those comments and let me know your thoughts on this whole situation. Because there's a lot going on in 2020, and we're just in the end of August, and the year ain't over yet. So so just stay tuned, and until next time, everybody, take care.